Hey, you want to know what the number one question that people ask worldwide with regard to achieving more and going further, faster, and going to the next level in their lives? How can I become successful? How can I be successful? Second question is, why am I not successful? What's stopping me? What do I have to do to be successful? Well, listen, if you've ever asked either one of those questions or anything like it, you're going to love what I'm about to throw down today. So grab a pad and paper and suit up, because I'm not only going to answer those questions, I'm going to give you some tips, not tips, I'm going to give you a strategy to be even more successful. And so let's start at the basics. As usual, let's get down to the basics. Now, when people ask that question, and I've been asked that my entire career, people come to me and they go, Joseph, why am I not successful? How do I become successful? The first question I ask them is, what does success mean? What does it mean to be successful? And inevitably, worldwide, people answer like this. Watch me closely. They go, well, to have lots of money and to have success, to be I'm not necessarily famous, but people know me, and when they do that, and I did that on purpose, by the way, when they're looking around like this, I know they're making it up. I know that they don't have a clear definition of what success is. And that's the first place to start. And by the way, this might sound like unicorns and crystals and rainbows and things like this, but what I'm about to throw at you is science. Science don't lie, baby. Numbers don't lie. And so here's what I want you to understand, going back to the basics of how we function as human beings. Remember this, wherever we look, with our eyes open or our eyes closed, is what our body and heart will do. And what that means is this. With our eyes open, when you actually are looking at something, that's why when the eyes are on the front of our head, not the back of our head. Wherever we look is where we're going to go. And what you imagine, because that's just thought, whatever you imagine inside your head, your body is going to believe that it's real. Now, a couple of examples, and I do this example live in seminars all the time, is I have people close their eyes and imagine that they're biting into a lemon, and I talk them through it. And their mouths water, they salivate. That may even start to happen with you right now. Try it out. And what happens is what I want you to realize is that the brain can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not when it's imagined. But here's the thing that I want you to get is the body responds to it. You see, procrastination, hesitation, and laziness and things like that, those are the thieves of our dreams. But where do they come from? People say, well, I need more drive. And I say, no, you don't. You need more pull. You need something to pull you into where you're going to go. And that is having a target. And if you can't describe what success is for you, then you don't have a target. Second example that I always use is that, where I grew up in this small town called Lancaster, California, people would drive out there and it was, a desert town. So once you got out of town, you could drive for miles and miles with no stop signs. But what would happen was people would run off the road or fall asleep at the wheel or something or whatever, and they'd run into telephone poles. Now check this out. Telephone poles are like 30, 40 yards apart, and they're only like this wide. But then they did aerial photographs, and they showed the skid marks that went off the road. 90% of them went right into the pole. And if the people lived, they always said the same thing. Last thing I saw was the pole. I didn't want to hit the pole, but last thing I saw was the pole. And the reason they hit the pole is because they're looking at it. So your body is going to do whatever it takes to get you to whatever you're looking at, even if you don't want it. So the trick to it is, and instead of looking at the pole, look at the space, and that's where you'll go. But the pole is where, it's right there in front of us. And this is what people say, I could not look away from the pole. Well, there's where the training comes in. That's where the system I'm going to give you is to look where you want to go. Always, always, always look where you want to go. And so that is your target. That is what makes your body do what it does. And again, your brain and your body can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not when you imagine it. Think about this. Have you ever had a nightmare and you woke up terrified and sweats and so on and so forth because you couldn't tell if it was real or not? Because your brain makes it up. The same chemicals get dumped into your body, the cortisol and all that stuff. And so we believe that it's real. And our heart beats faster. The thing is, whether it's your mouth watering from the lemon, whether it's you driving into the pole, whether it is your heart beating from a nightmare or whatever, or when you're looking at something, alive and you get excited, if it's real time, you get excited or whatever, your body is responding to the visuals and the auditory that's coming into your system. Why do I say all of that? Because when I ask somebody what is successful, what is success to them, and they're up here and they're going all over the place like that, I know they don't know. And most of the time, I'll ask them, okay, well, what do you want? And they go, I don't want to be broke anymore. Or I don't want to have to, worry about money. I don't want to have to worry about this. I don't want to have to worry about that. That's like looking at the poll. I always tell them, okay, tell me what you want. Then they said, I told you, I'm broke. I don't have enough money. I worry about my bills. I worry about that. And by the way, most people, when they talk about success, it's money. Now, you're going to hear my definition of success here in a moment. And for me, it's not just about the money, but I'm going to talk about money right now because it is a useful thing. And so they go, well, I told you, I don't have enough money. And I go, no, you're telling me what you don't want. And see, most people know what they don't want, which means they're looking at the telephone pole. Because remember, the body and the brain they can't make a distinction between what's real and what's not. So if you're looking at the telephone pole, if you're talking about, I don't want to be broke, it's like going, I don't want to hit the pole. I don't want to hit the pole. But your brain is going pole, 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 and looking at the pole. Now, why does it sound so, it might sound crazy and everything, but the truth of the matter is, let's work with what you got. And what you got is a brain, and what you got is a body. And you want that body to get up early, stay up late, and do all the extra stuff that it takes to make it happen. But first, you got to get clear on what it is. And by the way, I looked up, I wrote this down. I looked up in the dictionary. Here's a dictionary definition. And by the way, there's lots of different definitions of it. Here's what the dictionary definition was. Having achieved popularity, profit, or distinction. What the hell does that mean? Is that specific? Is that definite? No. Does that make you feel good? No. Does that make you feel like, going after something? No. And when people tell me, I want to make more money, and I say, how much more money? They do the same thing. Well, I'd like to make, $50,000 a month. And I know they're making it up. And if they're making it up, then guess what? The body knows that they're unsure about it. And by the way, all of the other inhibitions about our self-worth and our worthiness and whether we deserve this and why if you get rich, then you're going to be a bad person. And all that programming comes in and it just clutters everything up. And it makes us go sit on the couch and watch Netflix or eat cake. And so to clear all that stuff up, one of the most important things is to get definite on what success is. And I'm spending all this time on that because it's important, because until you get this, your heart is not going to be ignited. Yeah, I said it. Your heart is not. You're not going to feel like doing it. And so I'm going to give you what my definition of it. And by the way, people, just so you know, the percentages of people that are quote unquote successful by society standards, or most society standard worldwide, is only about 3%. That's right. Only about 3% of the people on the planet, if you ask, are you satisfied? Are you successful? They'll go, yeah. Most of the rest of them will say, no, I'm not. I'm not where I want to be yet. And the 3%, all of them, not some of them, all of them. Aside from the fact that some people, well, no, because I've even had people that have inherited millions and millions of dollars that were unhappy. But the ones that are successful, that earned it, that made it happen, that came from nothing, that maybe they didn't come from nothing, but they worked their way up and they came from not having money to having money, or not having success to having success. They all do pretty much the same things. And you may have heard of some of this stuff before, but I'm going to give you a really shortcut to it. And so I'm going to give you what my definition of success is. And then I'm going to tell you how to work with that and whittle it down or whittle it up to get more specific for yourself. And then when you do, you'll have a target. And once you have a target, then your body and your brain will go after it. And the second thing is you got to know why you're going to do it. But I'll talk about that here in a second. So this is my definition of success. Ready? To be wealthy. Now, wait a minute. Hold it for a second. First off, I want you to think about what just happened to you when I said to be wealthy. Did you go, well, Joseph, I thought you said it wasn't just about money. Or did you go, what happened inside of you? Because that's important that you understand that when you connect to the words, because remember, that's all thinking is, and that's all your imagination is the words and the pictures that you're making. What did that word do to you when I said wealthy, to be successful? Did you go, like I said, well, Joseph, you said it's not about the money, okay? The truth of the matter is, my definition of wealthy might be different than yours, than most people. And so I'm going to give you this, and I want you to try it on and wear it around for a while and do this exercise that I have. See if you don't agree with me. To be successful and to be wealthy means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. Let me repeat myself. To be wealthy, to be successful, to me, it means to be healthy, happy, and financially abundant. Now, if that works with you, that's great, because I know it's vague, I know it's a big picture, but I'll bet it's more specific than most people have, because most people, less than 3% of people, hint, hint, don't have their goals they're written down in any specificity at all. Now, I'm going to break it down, and you can be more specific about that, but healthy, happy, and financially abundant, and all the subsets underneath there. What does happy mean to you? What does that, all of these things mean to you? But when you get clear on what that is, then guess what? Your brain goes like this. Aha. Okay, that's what that means. That's what that means. And you start to have targets inside your mind. And when you have a target, then guess what? That's where your body will go. That is where it's go. It's the good telephone pole, or it's the space instead of the telephone pole. Get clear on what you want. So you should be writing that down. Healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And then all you have to do is to go in and describe what healthy means to you. This weight, this energy, this physical appearance, or whatever it is. But you must write it down. Here's part of the key to success. Remember what I just said, and I said, hint, hint. Only 3% of the people on the planet that are successful have written down, I don't want to use the word goals, but they have outcomes, and they have what success is for them. They write it down. Now, I have a saying, and the saying is, what you write is what you invite. And at the top of this, and I do it every single time I come on here, I say, grab a pad and paper so that you can write something down. I didn't say grab your iPad and your iPhone so you can tell things. I want you to physically write. We'll do a whole nother thing on that, why it's important to write. But what you write is what you invite. It literally, that tactile sense, your brain makes it real. It becomes real. And you can even draw pictures and get pictures and things like that. You can do stuff like that. But you got to spend the time to figure out what success is to you. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, what if I describe it and that's not really what I want? Or if I want more? Well, that's great, because your brain is going to go, well, here's what I really want. You must work on it. You must work on this to be successful. That's it. You've got to tell your brain and your body what you want. So you go down and you're right. To be healthy is to have this weight, to have this appearance, to have this kind of energy, to whatever you write down. And you can model other people. You can look at somebody else and say, I'd like to look like that, or I'd like to feel like that, or whatever, just as long as you write it down. You write a story. Because see, you're already telling a story inside your head about your own health right now. And I'm going to tell you now, there's a reason why healthy is first. Because I know people that have all the money in the world, but they're unhealthy. And guess what they want? They want to be healthy. I never met one person that was unhealthy that says, I'd rather just have my money than be healthy. No, they want it all. That's what successful is. So you write it down, describe it. That's step number one. Step number two is that once you describe what it is that you want, so step number two of that, healthy, you're going to describe what happy means to you. And that means your relationship, your love. That means, doing the things that you want. What does that mean? What does that mean to be happy? You're literally going to write what I call an ideal day, the day that you wake up and you are successful. You got this energy, you look like this, you got all that stuff and everything. You're married, or you got children, you got a family, or whatever. Everybody is financially taken care of, whatever. You put a dollar amount on that financial amount. How much per month? Is it residual income? What are you doing? And by the way, here's the great part about it is you don't have to do this but once a year. Write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. It's so, so critical. This is the piece that's missing. Remember, worldwide, people don't know this. Now you do. Second step is that you got to figure out why you want it, and you got to write that down. Why? No pun intended. Because why, your reasons why are what make you get up early, stay up late, and do all the extra stuff. And that's what I call creates pull inside of you. One of my mentors, Jim Rohn, always said, how comes second? Why comes first. When you figure out why you want something, then your brain and your body will figure out how to make it happen. You've already done it. You probably figured some things out and you didn't understand, but you had a good enough reason why. Most of the time, people don't do something until they attach themselves to why. I'm a perfect example of that. When I was in college, when I was in school, I wasn't a great student. I was that guy that would wait till the last minute And I wouldn't study until days before the event. And sometimes I'd be cramming the night before. And you got to figure out, you got to say, okay, well, why did I wait so long? Okay? And that's the wrong question to ask. You go, why did I finally get off of my ass and do it? And the answer is because, and by its pain and pleasure, I would always say to myself, if I don't do this, then I won't get this grade. And if I won't get this grade, then I won't get to graduate. If I don't graduate, then I can't start my business. I can't start my business. I can't do that. And I would load up a lot of pain, and that would make me do it. But you know what's even a better one? Carrot on the stick. To figure your reasons why you want to be healthy. And once I did that, life was much, much sooner. And I get to it much, much sooner and quicker. And I do it happier. And that is to figure out your reason why you're going to do this, that it's going to benefit you, that you're going to be happy at doing. And I started thinking about, well, if I study earlier, then I'm going to have more time. If I study earlier, then I'm going to have less stress. If I study earlier and all these things, and then I'll get what I want, and I'll get that A, and I'll get that. And I started looking forward. You know, the carrot on the stick. You know what I'm talking about. The farmer, if you will, he wants this donkey to pull a plow. And donkeys are stubborn. If you beat them, they'll just dig their hooves in. They won't go. If you try and pull them, they won't go. So what the farmer does is he takes a carrot or some sort of fruit, and he ties it to a string, and he puts it on a stick, and he holds it in front of the horse or the donkey. And the donkey sees the carrot, and remember, whenever you got a target, you'll move towards it. And he wants that carrot. His mouth waters, and he starts trying to go towards the carrot because it's right there in front of him. And he starts going, but he doesn't know he's pulling the plow. And I know that's a silly metaphor, but it's the same for you. What do you want in the future? Get clear on what it is, your reason why you're going to do it. I want to build a financial wall around my family so they don't have to worry about it. I want to have the reason I'm doing this is so that I'll have the energy to play with my grandkids, or I'll have the energy to go out, after the person that I desire. Whatever it is whatever you write down becomes your reason why. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to put it inside your nervous system here in a second. But you got to figure out why on all those things, whatever you wrote down first. Now, look, this is the work that most people don't do. But when you do it, and while you're doing it, you go into what I call the zone. And the zone is that place, and let's just call it magic. I've had the privilege of coaching and working with a lot of professionals and like NBA basketball players and things like that. And you've seen it, and you've been there as well. You're in the zone. You seem to be hitting, red or green lights all the time, or that basketball player is hot that night or whatever. They're in the zone, that mythical zone. Well, it's not a myth. It's the truth. And that is that when everything is lined up, knowing what you want, knowing your reasons why, you tend to function in the zone a whole lot more. And you get distracted a whole lot less. And you get up earlier, and you stay up later, and you do the extra stuff happily. You get in the zone. So that zone is that place of certainty. That zone is that place where you get into it and you're not questioning. You're going, let me just go after that. And there's not that badgering thought. And you've been there, and you start to go, wow, isn't that interesting? You get into the zone. So let me share with you how to put it inside. By the way, that's all there is. For you to be in that upper 3%. And just to give you an example, and I'm not saying this to brag or to boast, but I've been in the upper 3% of my industry in terms of earning money, in terms of impacting people, over 5 million people around the world and all those things. But I've been that way for almost 35 years now because I do what I'm telling you to do right now. And that upper 3% of people that I know that are around there, and often a lot of them come to me to go even further faster. And so it's really, really simple. I didn't say necessarily easy, but it's definitely simple. And it is worth it. I'm sure you're going to agree with me. It's worth it for you to sit down for even a couple of hours and figure this stuff out. And if it gets painful, stand up, shake yourself out, go out, move around, and come right back to it. This is how you do it. This is how we do it. This is exactly how you do it. Number one, describe what success is for you. I encourage you to use my definition first, and then you make your own stuff up. Mine is not the end all and be all. You make your own up. Healthy, happy, and financially abundant. And then describe what those are. Write them down. What I encourage you to do is to get, if you don't have it, if you've been around me for a while now, I've been telling you, get a nice journal. Maybe a leather-bound journal or something that those, when you write something down, it means something. In my library upstairs, I have easily maybe 100, I don't know, 60, 70, 100 journals over the year because somebody taught me that years and years ago. Write it down. Write it down. Describe what healthy means. Describe what happy means. Describe what financially abundant means. Meaning, the exact amount of money, the exact amount of health, and all those things. Write it down. Because remember, the brain, in order for you to do that, the searching process is the rewiring process of the brain. The brain is actually creating new neural associations. What does that mean? You got nerve endings, you got all this stuff that is connecting and becoming real inside your brain. And if your brain can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not, then it's going to go after it. It'll become real. Do that. Write it down. Healthy. Write it down. Happy. Write it down. Financially abundant. Next. Write down your reasons why you want to be healthier, you want to be happier, you want to be even more financially abundant. And I said healthier, happier, and even more financially abundant, because you already are at some level. You already have some sort of health. You're on this side of the dirt, so you got some health. You're already happy at some point because you can still laugh right now. And you got some money, at least, to own that phone or whatever you're looking at me on right now. And what's important is for you to recognize that, wait a minute, I already am successful on some level. I already have something, because success is built on success. And then like I said, and then the last thing that you do is look at it as often as possible. I always get my cell phone and I tell Siri or whatever to remind me to review my success, my goals, my dreams, my desires every day. The more that you do it, it's human dynamics. The better you get, the better and better you get at it. And what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself talking to yourself differently. You're going to find yourself pulled towards, carrot on the stick, towards what you want differently. You'll find things that'll change around you. And when they do, you got to reward yourself. It's unbelievably simple. And it's actually even easy compared to how hard most people work. Most people never get this stuff and they never do it. But when you do it, success becomes what you desire it is. Success comes on your terms, not somebody else's. And the last thing I'll say on that is this. There's a saying, and the saying is self to self for progress, self to others for possibility. What that means is this. Most people, sometimes when I ask people, I go, what does that mean success? They go, I want to be like you. And they feel bad because they don't have, the level of success that I have. And what that means is they're looking at me and they're comparing themselves to me. Don't compare my ending to your beginning. Don't compare my now or anybody else's now to where you are right now. Wherever you are right now, that's the place to start. Best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Next best time? Right now. What has happened in the past? Don't worry about it. Do what you do right now. So compare yourself to yourself with your progress. And that's what you need to do every day. So it's self to self for progress, not self to others and you compare yourself to somebody else that's successful. You compare yourself to others for what's possible. Because if you look at somebody else and say, that person earns 50 grand a month, or that person is a multimillionaire, that because they did it, I can do it again. So you're comparing yourself to somebody else for what is possible, but you compare yourself to yourself for progress. Here's how far I've come. And all of you, everybody has come a long way already, from the time that you couldn't walk or the time you couldn't, wipe your own butt or whatever. You've already been successful. So take this stuff, use it. Super, super simple. I'm here because somebody did this for me. Somebody taught me this stuff. And I got to tell you, you just do it and you get results. And so lastly, I'll say this. I have a free gift for you. I always do. I got a free book for you. If you haven't gotten it yet, click on the link, get the book, read the book. It's called Dare to Be Magnificent. You're not only going to love it, but it's going to help you go further faster in whatever it is that you want. Click on the link and make it happen. And lastly, if you love this, like, subscribe, hit that notification button so the bell rings when you know I got a new video coming out. And remember this, the last thing is, life is exactly what you dare to make it, and fortune favors the bold. So the trick to life is to boldly step up and dare to make your life magnificent. I look forward to serving you more, and I'll see you at the top.